it's more so on the creative side.
Okay.
So in terms of artist development, in terms of what their sound is, what their look is, what they want to, where they want to play, who they want to open up for, um, who they want to market to, what's their niche, do they want to get signed, do they want to do it independent? Like I'll touch on those things, but it's mostly like the show, like what do you want to sound like, what do you want to look like, and how do you want the audience to respond to you? So definitely on the creative side, when he had the knowing going on and like that type of stuff, Glass Table Girls. So that's when I jumped on
Okay.
and hitting the road with him. It was just like, doing experiences. The first date we did was in Barcelona. And that was the first time I've been overseas. So that was
Okay.
crazy.
What were your roles on the
Yeah,
tour?
forgot. Yeah, you did ask me that.
All right, how my experts doing? We another episode of Brands Experts Podcast. We have a great guest today, Nathaniel James. He's in the music industry, does a lot of great things as far as on the production side, management side, work with a lot of great artists, does a lot of different things as far as projects go and, get the job done. You're going to contact him and work with him and, see your projects to getting done. But we'll let him, introduce himself and let the world know exactly what he does.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate you having me on your platform for sure. My name is James. I go by Nathaniel W. James, and I'm a musician, producer, arranger, but for the most part, focus on artist development, musical direction, and just arrangements. Um, I think right now my main focus is live arrangements and pretty much catering to artists and their live show. So that's what I've been doing. And if you're an artist out there and you want to have your live show sound like industry level, contact me. I'll definitely be able to help you step up your live show. So that's what I'm about. And that's what I love to do.
For sure. Now, people, we're gonna get into this at the end, of course. But if
Mhm.
people are, just turning this on and they want to, do their homework, see some of your projects and stuff like that,
Yeah,
where can they find you? What are the social handles? How
for
can they find you on
sure.
social media?
Yeah, you could Google Nathaniel W. James and pretty much everything will come up. But on Instagram, I'm Nate the producer. Everywhere else, I'm Nathaniel W. James. Yeah.
Okay, for sure. Now, what started this musical journey? Like, what was your introduction into music? Like, how did you get started, to be an expert in the music industry?
Yeah, for sure. So it got started when I was about 5 years old. My dad taught me how to play my first song, The Old Rugged Cross, and he pretty much brought me around from church to church, and I played The Old Rugged Cross at every single church. Probably till I was about 6 years old. And then after that, didn't really do much until high school. And during high school, just kind of kept going home and playing the piano. I just fell in love with lifting gospel songs. And then from there, I got my first opportunity to tour with the Weeknd. And after that, it just kind of, you know, rolled down the hill. That was my first taste of making real money
Okay,
in the industry. And then before then, it was all just about the love. It
right.
still is. But
Okay,
after that, I was kind of like put into the right circles to work with certain people. And from there, got to work with artists like Queen Naija, Kalala, Kaya Stewart, just like a lot of dope artists that making dope music. And yeah, so I just kept going and I love it. So now I'm at the stage now in my career where I'm trying to give back and help emerging artists get from one level to the next. And that's where the coaching comes in, where I kind of just ask them questions, help them to develop their own questions to figure out exactly what it is that they want and how to get there. So that's what I've been focused on.
okay. So is your experience more so on the management side or more so in the I know you said you do a lot of stuff with live shows and things like that. Now,
Yeah.
is that managing live shows? Is that because I know you do production too? And
Hmm.
so like where does, how does it all tie in? Just so I kind of
Yeah.
understand it.
It's more so on the creative side.
Okay.
So in terms of artist development, in terms of what their sound is, what their look is, what they wanna where they want to play, who they want to open up for, um, who they want to market to, what's their niche, do they want to get signed, do they want to do it independent? Like I'll touch on those things, but it's mostly like the show, like what do you want to sound like, what do you want to look like, and how do you want the audience to respond to you? So definitely on the creative side.
Okay.
A lot of artists, they come to me and they'll ask me to take one of their songs that they've recorded and just give them a live arrangement so that they could perform it live. And so, yeah, definitely on the creative side.
Okay. Now, with your expertise being on the creative side,
Mhm.
how is that working with artists? Is it more of a thing that you can, take care of a lot of your work remotely, or is that something to where you kind of got to do bulk of your work in person?
Yeah, well, everything changed. Obviously, after COVID, a lot of
Okay.
things started becoming heavily social media based. So people are using, sounds and stuff to actually post on social media. So it has become a lot more remote. But for the most part, if an artist calls and they're going on tour, you got to go on tour like you're there with them.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I personally love touring. So
Okay.
whenever an artist hits me for a tour, I'm like, ooh, I gotta go.
I got you, right. I mean, tours are something special.
Oh
Like, I
yeah,
mean, and there's some legendary tours that have happened. I mean, Drake's been going on some incredible runs. Usher has had a Regency out there in Las Vegas for,
yep.
I think 5 years, something like that. I mean, you talk about tours and live performances. Jay-Z is doing, let's clap it up for him. He just locked Kendrick in for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very
So
controversial. I don't even know why that's so controversial, but
right. You know, I,
yeah,
I think it's controversial because it's kind of like sometimes when it comes to success, and then like, I think that can create a level of envy in people because,
mm,
someone is so successful and has such an incredible run. It's kind
yeah,
of like, how is this possible? And
yeah. How
you
could it
know,
go even higher?
how could it go higher? How can he, I mean, like he hasn't missed yet with that, Last year was he did the Usher, incredible performance. The year before that, who did he have? Rihanna, right? I think I remember correctly. It was Rihanna the year before that. And then
I don't
before
know. I remember for
that,
sure.
he had Dr. Dre and Kendrick and Mary J. and, kind of like a lot of the West Coast legends, but he had, some East
Yeah,
Coast in there too. So, I mean, so much incredible stuff done there. But I wanted to get on, like you said, you got started. You did a tour with the Weeknd, if I'm hearing you correctly.
yeah,
Can you talk about how that whole thing came together and what was that experience like, as far as like the things you were doing on the tour, and how was that experience, and how was it like working with a phenomenal artist like the Weeknd?
yeah, for sure. When I got the call for the weekend, and my friend who's actually still with him, he hit me up and he was just like, "Hey man, they're looking for a keyboardist. Are you available? Do you want to jump on?" And I was just like, "Yeah, sounds great." Didn't know anything about touring at that time. Didn't know anything about going on the road with artists and whatnot. So I was like, "All right, this is going to be a crazy experience." And if you know the weekend, his earlier like music was like that dark, very um like dark R&B, which is what I actually preferred. Like I loved it when he was in that world. So like when he had the knowing going on and like that type of stuff, Glass Table Girls. So that's when I jumped on.
Okay.
And hitting the road with him, it was just like, doing experiences. The first date we did was in Barcelona. And that was the first time I've been overseas. So that was
Okay.
crazy. Um, had my first duck in Barcelona and
Okay.
it's like had duck every other country that we went to trying to taste it. And it was just a good experience.
Right. Okay.
But working with him, the level of excellence and attention to detail was mad. It was crazy. And his managers and his MD held that standard. And so it was like probably the most stressful musical experience that I've had because I was coming from just playing in church straight into the industry at that level when he was like blowing up. So it was definitely a learning experience. I think the things that I learned then about how to compose yourself on tour with a major artist like that and work cohesively with management, musical directors, other bandmates, having, you know, being level-minded and not going like crazy with the fans because the fans would be like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 we're getting off the bus. And this is like, it's easy to get caught up in like in all that stuff, but to be focused and say, no, 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 I'm here for a job. Let me actually do my job and not, look here and there. So that was where I learned all of that stuff. And I had to learn fast. So it was intense. Now it didn't really end out um the way I thought it was gonna end. Um, they switched musical directors at the end of the summer, and that musical director cleaned house like a big chunk of the band and then brought in his guys. And so that's where the run ended. It was a very short run, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, it was this, I look back and it's just like, man, the things that I learned on that tour, I still use to this day as like
Okay.
my what's the word I'm looking for? My
Kind of intro.
standard.
Oh, your standard. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That is
yeah,
awesome.
it's a
Okay. I
crazy
mean,
experience.
that is, that is. So what were your roles on the
Yeah,
tour?
forgot. Yeah, you did ask me that. I was the
Hmm.
keyboardist. So basically, they send me the music and they're like, learn these parts, sound design, make sure the sounds sound exactly like the record, dial it in, know your parts. So I had about, I think, three keyboards and just had to dial it in. For your viewers that don't know what that means, think of your favorite song and if there's a sound in that song that was like unique, the producers make that sound. Like they
Okay.
tweak it, they put flange on it, they put verb on it, they do all these things to make that sound unique for that artist. The musicians that play that have to actually go into their keyboards and mimic that or their laptops or whatever they're using and recreate that sound. And if it's not that sound, you're gone. Like you gotta dial it in properly. So those are my responsibilities. Just be ready at all times to play what they send you at all times. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
I mean that is incredible to have that skill, to have somebody that is a world-renowned artist to actually, kind of understand what, that look, what they're looking for, and to actually
Hmm.
be able to deliver on that level
Oh yeah.
is
He
is really incredible.
there was a time that he came into rehearsal and we were playing that song with Drake. Oh man, what was it called? I forget what it's called, but
Okay.
it was the song that he collabed with Drake at the time.
Okay.
And I was stretching it, going just opening it up and playing and playing and playing. And he turned around and he told me straight up, man, hey, you sound like Stevie Wonder. And
Wow.
that was probably one of the most like interesting things I've heard because Stevie Wonder is he's the GOAT.
All
But
right.
in that context, that
Mhm.
was not a compliment. He was just like, you got to play my music the way that my music sounds. So it was like at that moment, I instantly realized, like, look, you can be able to play, but if you're not playing the music, then it's going to be a problem.
All right.
Like you got to play the music,
For sure.
regardless if you could play all that stuff, it doesn't matter. Play the
Okay.
music. So yeah, that was an interesting lesson I learned real quick in rehearsal.
Okay. For sure. Now, you did that tour, which is phenomenal. What year was that happened?
2012.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Early on, early
Oh yeah,
weekend.
I'm telling
Okay.
you, like super early, man. Yeah.
Okay. So you were on the wave really early. Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
So,
yeah,
The Hills Have Eyes, was that out at the time?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no,
I know
no, no. That was like right
19
after me.
right after. Okay. So
Yeah.
what were some of his biggest songs at that time?
Um, the Knowing, Glass Paper Girls. What is that one that he did with Drake? Man,
Okay. Make me want to search it.
I
Uh,
know. Like,
yeah.
let me just pull it up real quick. That's gonna
I
bother
got
me,
you.
man.
I
That's
got
gonna
you.
bother me.
I got you. Yeah. Yeah, man. That was 2012 was such an interesting year for music. It was when a lot of stuff was going mainly digital. That's what I remember
Yeah,
about, thing was Instagram was that was probably Instagram's mainstream year. So kind of,
yeah.
people were going live, a lot of things was changing.
Even at that time, I was just getting on Instagram, so I'll see some like old posts that I was making. I was like, oh my goodness, man.
Right, right. For sure.
Oh man, maybe I won't even find it. I won't even
I
mess
got
around
you.
with it.
Okay.
Was
So
it the zone? It might have been the zone.
the zone.
But go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. I got you. So from there, you did that.
Yeah,
Now, where did things go after that? After you did
yeah.
that tour?
After that, it was just went back home. I was doing a live recording at the time, a gospel live recording. So I finished that up, and then I decided I was like, I got the bug. I want to go to LA. Had always wanted to go out there, and so yeah, just made the plan. Me and my wife, we moved out there and started networking, started going to the federal, all the jams, meeting all the guys. And it was crazy because the first place I went to was the federal, and I met Robert Glasper, um, what's his name? Hadrian Prasad, just
Okay.
like all the heavy hitters, like in the, I don't want to call it underground music world, but like the musicians of the musician world were
Okay.
there. And so yeah, just going there, sitting in with those guys like as much as possible, getting beat up because these guys are monsters.
Right.
And yeah, just experiencing LA, that was what was going on at the time. But then 2015, Kaya Stewart, which is, I don't know if you know her, she's Dave Stewart's daughter from the
Okay.
Eurythmics.
Okay.
She was going on tour and she was like super young. So I did her tour. And then after her, I did Kalala and then, played for a lot of artists in between. And so, yeah, it was that for a long time, just kind of going from gig to gig and artist to artist and, learning more about the road and learning more about production, learning more about live arrangements and all that stuff. And just kind of went like that up until COVID.
Okay.
COVID shut everything down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, where did the relationship with working with Queen Naija start, and what do you got? What is you guys' working? Has been you guys' working relationship? Like, what have you done for her?
Hmm.
And are you guys still working together?
So yeah, no, when I got the call for Queen Naija, it was a friend of mine that we used to both live in Toronto. He still lives in Toronto
Mhm.
now, but
Okay.
um he was looking for somebody within like I think it was 2 to 3 weeks. It was like a really short turnaround. And he was just like, yo, you gotta say yes, man. Cause I guess he was looking for somebody who could I can play bass and I play keys at the same time. I could run Ableton and I'm not crazy. There's a lot of musicians out there that are a little like, off of it. So
Right.
I'm pretty level headed. So he was looking for somebody very specific because at the time she was pregnant. And I
Okay.
think that a big part of it was like, don't bring anybody in here that's going to be crazy. We need somebody who's level headed and talented. And so, yeah, I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, let's do it. I learned the music and we were on the road in like 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not sure exactly how short it was, but yeah, that was a great run, man. Her team is amazing. She's an amazing person, amazing vocalist. She would often sing gospel at our sound checks, and
Wow.
you know what I mean? Like she was like, and I grew up in the church, so we would always have these moments where we just go into gospel songs and just kind of sit there for like 10 minutes playing songs that we love. Um, Currently not working with her.
Okay.
COVID hit and kind of shut down everything, and then after that, it kind of fizzled.
Right.
And but yeah, while we were working, we uh did Nick Cannon's show. That was fun. We
Okay. So
did
wilding out.
Title, Wildin' Out. We did Wildin' Out. We did
Okay.
Title. Um
So what was your role when you were doing wilding out? Like, what were you doing?
yes. So my role for like that whole run, I was kind of like the band leader, kind of slash like the musical director had other contracts. So he was like mad busy doing a whole bunch of stuff. So he just needed somebody that could be there on site, kind of to delegate certain things that he wanted. So I was like kind of the on site band leader, make sure everything ran correctly. I was playing bass, I was playing keys, I was running the backing track rig, and yeah, for the most part, that was pretty much it. I was doing a lot on that tour, which I love. I like to
Okay.
stay busy. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was just um a lot of that was a lot of work, man. That was like high stress,
for
high
sure.
stress, but it was good stress because I love that stuff.
Man, that is awesome. I mean, like you say, working on Wildin' Out, legendary show, Nick
Oh yeah,
Cannon.
man.
I mean, just the amount of people you were able to meet on that run with Queen. Shout out to that
Oh
because that's just
goodness. Yeah, Nick Cannon is super cool. Like
okay.
super down to earth cool, man. Yeah, he was not cool. So yeah, definitely got to meet oh man, I got to meet what's his name, which is big for me because I do like him a lot. Charlemagne the God.
Oh, Charlemagne, where'd you meet him?
We did um what's that event? P. Diddy's event.
Where's
Um
it at? I mean,
Pretty sure it was in Atlanta.
Okay.
But it's something they do every year now. Revolt.
Revolt. Okay, okay.
Yeah, we performed at Revolt and he was there. So Got to
Okay.
meet him. That was
Yeah,
cool. Wanted to meet Diddy too, but
I
yeah,
got you. I got you. No,
Diddy.
I got you. All right, crazy, crazy. So,
Yeah.
man, you've done all that, and so after that, like, what have you been doing after, like you said, COVID hit, and a lot of things
Mhm.
have changed. So, how have you adapted
Yeah.
in the music industry after COVID? Like, how did it affect you when it first happened, and what have you been doing to kind of, stay sharp in the industry after COVID?
Great question, man. Great question. When COVID hit, devastating. All my tours, all my corporate work,
Mm.
all my everything gone. Like that. And so that was, I'm not even gonna lie, that was a rough time, man. That was like looking back and like second guessing all the decisions you made, and kind of like, okay, I didn't prepare for this. I didn't even know that this was something to be prepared for.
Right.
And here I am. But during COVID, I actually started like before COVID hit,
Mm.
um, which I'm really glad I did. I started a series called the Living Room Sessions,
Okay.
and I was inviting people into my house and doing live recordings. And there were artists that I believed needed more recognition, because while I was in Los Angeles, I worked with, man, hundreds of artists, and a lot of them, um, the music industry is tough, man. And so
Yes.
a lot of
Yes.
them didn't get what they wanted from the music industry, and I was
Mm.
watching it happen in real time. And so I just simply wanted to do my part. So I would invite them to my house. I started a YouTube channel, did live recordings, invited musicians in, pretty much arranged their music, got the production team together. My boy Chris Trull, amazing director. He brought his whole team, and we pretty much put together these live recordings in my living room. And so I started doing that. I did about 3 seasons altogether. But in the middle of that, COVID hit. And so while I was building that,
Mm.
it was like, are you still going to invite people into your house? People were nervous about that. You know what I mean? So it really put a stop on that. But one of the things I wanted to develop from that was an event called City Underground, where they would do the live recordings in my house, and then I would put on a concert for the people that did the recordings, and then they
Right.
would be able to perform in front of people.
Okay.
So we did one like in the middle of COVID. It went really well, and all this stuff is on my YouTube channel. People can check it out. Um, but from there, I just been kind of growing that slowly. And right now I'm at the point where I'm just trying to build a roster of artists and musicians, just talent in general, for companies whenever they need entertainment. So I can
Okay.
be that, connection for artists that just need work, connections, publicity, whatever it is, you know what I mean? So that bleeds into the artist development side of what my mission is right now. And so yeah, that's what I've been doing to stay sharp. I would say learning the business side of music is what
Okay.
I've been doing to stay sharp, and positioning myself in more of a servicehood position for both musicians and companies, to kind of like just bridge the gap and um, help artists get to the next level in their careers.
For sure. No, that's dope that you have so much experience, and now you're kind of bridging the gap with corporate and entertainment, which is a huge gap because a lot of the times
Huge.
just because somebody is a, you know, VP of marketing, that doesn't mean they have relationships in entertainment. That doesn't mean they understand the music business. That doesn't mean
Yeah,
that
man.
they understand that you know, $100,000 budget sounds good, but when you want entertainment and you want, specific kind of guests and you want a panel and you want this kind of stuff,
That's gonna try it real quick.
exactly, it's gonna go away, really, really fast. So
Mhm.
you just being the kind of, expert you are in the music industry, you understand band, you understand, what makes a show pop.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
yeah, that's just really incredible because those are the things like most people don't even think about when it comes to the music industry or comes to the entertainment itself in events, live events. People don't even think about how important that is,
Not
but
until
it's
the last
super
second.
important. Yeah, exactly. Till the last
Yep.
second. They don't think about how
Yep.
important that is and how vital that is until sound doesn't work or things don't sound good or whatnot. They're not
Yep.
engaging the audience, when those things aren't happening, that's when it's a problem. So what's very amazing about what you do is you come in before any of that would happen, clean that
Yeah.
side of it up, and present a finished product, kind of how it would be, kind of showing what the outcome should look like for that to happen for corporate, for people that want live events and things like that. It's really incredible. So just love your unique point of view on how you view music and entertainment.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I want to ask you a question, if that's
Sure.
okay. I know that it's your podcast. I don't want to
Yeah.
step on any toes.
No, you're good. You're good.
What what made you want to start this podcast? Because I checked out a couple of your videos, and I see that you're like, I feel like you're doing a similar thing that I'm doing on the music side, but in
Right.
the business and the world side. Like,
Right.
what made you want to start showcasing people and bringing light to what other people are doing?
For me, what was really important is there's so many people that don't get a chance to live the life they want to live or the life they dream about because it could be a lot of different excuses or whatever the reason is. Sometimes they only see the top person. They only see
Yeah,
the LeBron James of whatever it is, which LeBron is incredible.
of
But
course.
you can craft a niche and create a position in whatever you're doing and make a brand. Because what I started thinking about was, okay, you have a social media page, just
Hmm.
having that alone, you're a brand because
Yep.
you have a social media page or a website, but whatever it is, we'll just stick with social media.
Sure.
And then you put your work on there. And from there, like for example, let's say you put your work you did on the tour on your social media page.
Yep.
Well, a music artist, can go on there. Let's say it's Boss Man Dilo, a new artist that's out and says, hey, we need live, music here. Look what he's doing. Is there something we could do together because you put your work on there? So
Yep.
understanding like that it wasn't that complicated to have a brand.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, once you see somebody as a brand, the next thing you're looking at is, hey, are they an expert? That's what we all, depending on what level of it is, but there's thousands of watch companies.
Yeah.
We know what Rolex is. We
We
know
know
that
Rolex.
that's right. There's thousands of
Hmm.
sneaker companies. We know what Nike is. We know what Beats is. We know, when it comes to computers, we know what the brands are. When it comes to cars, we know
100.
which ones we want. So
Hmm.
it was kind of trying to put all that together to say your excuse is only valid because you think it's valid. Let me showcase an expert doing this. Let me show you an expert doing that. Let me show you that you can brand yourself, you can become an expert, and you can invest into whatever you need to invest in to be great. So
Yep.
that was the whole thinking behind it.
I see you. Yeah, it's very similar to my mission, man. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Like, really giving people an opportunity to not only just like do better, but like think better.
Yeah.
Like, just ask those questions. I really don't think that like conversion and that stuff happens without a question. And if
Right.
people aren't asking questions, that's dangerous. It's a dangerous place to be in.
It is.
So
It because
yeah.
it leads your mind to the unknown,
Hmm.
and like a lot of things happen because of how many offers you make. Like, you know, uh, the way I think is, okay, if you hear a no, then you're climbing the mountain to get to a yes. And you're
Facts.
you you keep doing that. But what starts to happen is because you have those yeses, I have no idea how many people you're connected to. You could be connected to 1,000 people. I have no idea.
Right.
And because you know what I do, next thing you know, hey, I know this person, they're looking to get on a podcast. Can you put them on? Who is
Yeah.
it? It's this person, hey, okay, let me see their content. Hey, let me put them on. And
Yeah.
so every time I do that, if the average is 1,000, well,
Hmm.
every time I get to 100 people, you know, I'm strengthening my reach just because I
Yes.
developed a relationship with each person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Keep going, man. Keep
I,
doing
appre
it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate you asking that. I think that's the first time I've been asked that. So, about 80 episodes in, and that was the first time I've been asked that. But
Woo!
it's great. It's great. I love it because it just shows that you have a very unique and creative mind.
Mm,
And when you have a question, you don't leave it. Like
no.
when you have an itch you want to scratch it, you think to do something with what you're doing. Like people are, have to understand the music industry is one of the most
Mm,
competitive fields. I think it's more competitive than sports personally, just because it's like the trends don't last as long usually, right? And so there's
yep,
there's hundreds of artists that have had one song be a great song, but since they could not like combine that to, have the pieces to take them to the next level, that song just stayed a song. Like 50 Cent had a little back and forth going on with Designer, and he
mm,
had that song Panda, but it
yeah,
was like that was kind of all he was able to create out of, to me, one of the most creative sounds. I mean, even though people might not think it is, but if you look at how he came out of nowhere
yep,
with
yep,
that panda, panda, panda,
yep.
panda, 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 it was kind of like no one
All
seen
the
that
balls in the
coming,
letter. Yeah, yeah. Everything
right?
about it was just like, ooh.
Yeah, he was just, it was punchline, build, punchline,
Mm-hmm.
punch, and it was kind of like that's a flow that
Yeah.
I don't know if we've heard, and if we have, it hasn't been too many times. But
But the thing that people have to realize is like
yeah,
music is unregulated, man. This is
yes,
one of the few industries that you could get fired because an artist doesn't like the way that you looked at them or like
mm,
a vibe. Like, I don't know, I just don't, I'm not vibing with that person. No
right,
other industry can you go in and that's wrongful termination in any other industry. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
So people have to understand like in the music industry, like people's lives are affected by the smallest little thing. And we're not talking about just like, oh, you have an up and a down. We're talking about people living on the street in Los Angeles
right,
because somebody had a vibe, and that vibe turned into them being blacklisted, and that blacklisting turned out to them never getting any work in the city again, and them
right,
having to decide, am I going to stay here and grind it out, or am I going to go home and find another way? And for a lot of people, leaving LA is tough, so they'll
yeah,
stay, and you know what I mean. Like you'll wonder how people end up on the street and whatever. It's like that's just a pit stop for a lot of people, but that's pit stop can be met by depression, drugs, alcohol, and that pit stop can end up being their destiny and they don't move. So it's like when I think about the industry, it just automatically puts me in a place where it's like I have to move the needle in the direction that it's supposed to go. I don't care if it's incremental, I have to move the needle. And to
yes,
me, moving the needle means helping emerging artists get to the next level. You know what I mean? So
right. No, that's great that you look at it like that. Like you said, one little thing can change everything. But
yeah,
what about your company that you're building and your brand? Do you feel do you want to change about that? Because I know that's probably something that you don't necessarily agree with, like just like other industries, people deserve a second chance. Just because somebody doesn't
yeah,
like the way something's been done, you shouldn't be blackballed out or and things like that. So what are some of the things that you're doing with the projects that you're doing to
yeah.
change that whole vibe?
One of the biggest things is the whole crab bucket mentality, thinking that there's not enough opportunity out there for everybody to eat. I'm trying to change that. I actually just did a session yesterday with a young man that wants to learn how to do live arrangements, right?
Okay, okay.
And
What
you
is
know what
what is
he's
live arrangements, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, for sure. A live arrangement is, let's say you take Umbrella by Rihanna. Let's say
Okay.
Umbrella, everybody loves a song, and now she's gonna go perform it live. In most cases, you can't just perform a song as is in a concert in front of tens of thousands of people. It's gonna
Okay.
be boring, people aren't gonna respond to it. So when you create a live arrangement, it's incepting, like it's like putting in live instrumentation and raising the energy of the song to meet the energy of the performance. Because imagine somebody is doing backflips and there's pyro and there's all this stuff happening, and the song is just like, nah, it's got to be all the hits have to match the dance moves and all that stuff. So live arrangements are essentially bringing a song to life so
Right.
that you can perform it live.
Okay.
Um, so he wants to learn how to do that.
Okay.
And so he reached out to me. He was like, he saw some of the stuff that I've done. And he's like, how can I do that? I don't know if this is something that you do. So I was like, for sure. But the reason why I brought it up is in the middle of our session, he stopped and he was like, I really appreciate you taking the time and, um, helping me out with this and giving me your pointers and teaching me what you've done, even though he paid me for it. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
was still over the moon glad that I gave him the time to show him how I do things so that he could go and take what he wants and leave what he doesn't. Because the truth of the matter is, in 98% of the time in the music industry or in the music world as musicians or whatever, everybody's holding their information in so that they can be the
Okay.
one to present it, so that they could be the one to make the arrangement. They could be the one to get the gig. They could be the one to shine. And that unfortunately has left us in a horrible state as musicians because
Yeah.
we're so separated. We're fighting against each other for the same gigs. When if we were to broaden our horizon and share our information and go out and help other artists, then there would be more artists as opposed to like the 20 artists that are eating. There would be hundreds and thousands of artists around the world, and the
Yeah.
market would grow, the industry would grow, the jobs would grow, the money would grow, the everything would grow. But what happens right now is it's cutthroat. So I don't want to tell you what I can do. And on top of that, the gig is paying 250. I'll do it for 200. No, I'll do it for 150. Man, I'll do it for 50 bucks because I just got to LA and I want to start
Mm.
working. You know what? I'll do it for free because I want to be in that circuit. And so it just completely ruins the industry, and we're left in a place where people don't value music, live music. They don't
It's true.
value any sort of music. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I'm like focused on, that crab bucket mentality, breaking that and teaching as much people as possible and up and coming musicians what I know so that they can go forth and do what they want. And then secondly, this is the one that I'm not sure how to do, but trying to raise the pay grade for musicians just worldwide.
Okay.
I know that there's a lot of movements. Actually, I think there's still a link in my bio on Instagram. There's a
Mm.
bill being passed in Congress that's going to raise the percentage that we get from streaming platforms to be equivalent to minimum wage, right?
Okay. Right.
So you know what I mean? That to me is super important because everybody knows you're getting a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a cent when you're streaming per stream. And so that to me is highway robbery. And
Mm.
I'm not like, coming at the owners of Spotify. He did his thing, he made his deals. Kudos to him. But as a creative on the other side, I still got to do my due diligence to say, like, all right, everybody sign this bill so that we can get a foothold on this thing and kind of start taking the reins back. So that's something I'm passionate about. And you know what I mean? This is my way of, the more I can build my platform, the more I can build my brand, is the more effective my voice will be in rooms like that. And
It's true.
so it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but one day I'll be able to voice my opinion. And I think that when I do, the right people will hear it.
For sure. I mean, that's somebody that wants to stand up for rights, somebody that wants to stand up for, the opportunity for people to continue to do the things that they love
Yeah.
and to continue to flourish, continue to have opportunities. I think
Hmm.
is a remarkable idea and just, groundbreaking mindset to say, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. And I'm standing
Hmm.
on what's right. And this is the way we're going to do it. I personally think for something like that would be great. Something I always thought about is, how we have Netflix and how you pay a
Yeah.
membership free fee and you get to, watch content and do things like that. I
Yeah.
think it would be cool if there was if there was a membership fee, but people got to like when people, the artists that were a part of it, people that went to concerts or people that wanted to get involved, or
Yeah.
there was an exclusive kind of limited, whatever it is, merch or whatever it is, show that they had,
Yeah.
first 24-hour option to buy and that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
limited content like media that they were dropping, like access to it. So I just think like a model like that would be really incredible because people would pay more than enough, because what I notice about fans is, it doesn't matter if it's a large artist or a huge artist. The loyalty with a fan is the loyalty. Like, it's not going to be moved. So if there was a
Yeah.
subscription base and saying, hey, these are kind of the positive things that an artist can get with being a
Yeah.
part of something like this, I think
Hmm.
something like that can be incredible.
It would be. And I know that there's a lot of little ways that people are trying to do that, like Discord, um, Twitch, and like there's little ways that artists are trying to make their content exclusive so that they can put it behind a paywall so that people pay for it. And you know what I mean? The only problem with that is the more that we have to get into that is the more it affects your time and creativity. So
Right,
it's like a catch 22. Not to say that we still don't have to do it. Like we got to do it. We got to put in
right,
the work. It's just I know that because there's such a it's such a weak. There's nothing stable like that where we can say this is where we go. Like Spotify would be the stable thing that we go to and say, yeah, I work for Spotify like 100%. I put out music and I get 50% of it, and the other 50 is towards publishing. You know what I mean? And it's
right,
like I'm making bank because I got 2 million streams last year. I'm chilling. But the fact of the matter is it's not, we don't got that with Spotify. And those are the platforms. So, people aren't tuning on to Discord to listen to music while they work out.
right.
They're just not.
True,
And so,
true.
we have a ways to go, but we have a ways to go.
But you making it happen. You're putting, one foot in front of the other. You're
One
putting
foot.
you're putting yourself in places like a Fiverr, like in just saying, hey,
Yep.
this is what I do. I'm not gonna stop.
No,
And I was put here to do what I was put here to do, and I'm gonna make it happen. For the
absolutely.
people that, because one thing I believe is similar with me and you is I believe
Hmm.
some people have to take the stairs in life. Some
Yeah.
people are able to take the escalator, and
Yeah.
some people are able to take the elevator. That's kind of my mindset, the way I look at it, right? But I feel like
Right.
me and you we're similar to which a lot of things in life we have had to take the stairs.
Yes,
But I
sir.
believe what's so incredible about the stairs is you learn the most taking the stairs because you get to see everything. You get to get stronger. You get to
Hmm.
know that you were on each floor, and
Yep.
you get to get those relationships, and you get to be strong when you get there. But
And the
it
truth of the matter is, I
yeah,
love that analogy, man,
yeah,
because the people that take the stairs are usually the people that are trying to help the people on each floor. You
right,
know what I mean? Like we're
yes,
busting down the walls and like, hey, yo, come on. A lot of people don't want to take the stairs with you, and that's fine. You know what I mean? But um, you're right. If I was taking the elevator, I guess I would be the beneficiary for a lot of the stuff. But because I want other people to benefit, it would be more beneficial to take the stairs. Yeah. I I,
right,
I never thought about that analogy, and
right. And I
I'm
mean,
listening to
like,
that.
yes, decent upbringing, solid upbringing, good parents, middle
Hmm.
class. I'm not saying that, you know, anything out of the ordinary, but I'm saying, like, when now you're an adult, okay, there is no favors, there is no handouts. You have to literally build it up. You have to figure out point A to Z. You have to go figure everything out, whether it's reading books, whether it's meeting people, whether it's okay, I gotta save. I have to do every little thing I have to do. Like you said, you moved to LA, now you're in
Yeah.
Georgia. You've done so
Yeah.
many different things believing that, okay, I'm gonna figure it out here, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna figure it out here, and I'm gonna learn along the way, and I'm gonna figure it out here, and I'm gonna learn along the way.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a lot of different adjustments that I have to do along the way. But a lot
Yeah.
of people are so afraid to take the stairs, right? And what I want to say about that is, in the music industry,
Hmm.
right? It seems like that's one of the industries where it's like, okay, where did Ice Spice come from? She came out of nowhere and she's doing incredible. Where did Boss Man D-Lo come from? He came from out of nowhere and he's doing incredible.
Yeah.
And it
People be
seems
calling
like,
them industry plants.
right, exactly. Right, I heard Joe
Yeah.
Budden say that exactly.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand that some people have taken the way of putting the work in, like a Future that stuck with it, and he got to where he needed to go,
Yeah.
like a Rick Ross that stuck with it. He got in a little bit older, but he's still able to get to where he wanted to go. So I believe
True.
that the stairs still work. So for the people that are looking at people like that came out of nowhere and found tremendous success, and thinking
Yeah.
that, oh, okay, if it's not going to happen overnight, it's not going to work. what would you tell them is the better way to look at it, since you are in the music industry and a lot of times it is harder than people think it is?
Um, this might sound a little harsh. This might sound a little harsh. There's certain things in life that have to happen in order to sift the right people out from the wrong people. You know what I mean? And for the people that are like, oh, Ice Spice made it, and look at her, and blah 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 blah, and she doesn't deserve it, and blah 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 blah. You're focused on the wrong things right off the
Mhm.
top, right off top. So honestly, people like Ice Spice need to exist to make sure that the people that are prone to distraction are distracted.
Mhm.
And the people that put their head down and walk up the stairs, they make it up the stairs and we recognize them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, I'll only, like I said earlier, the question is what everybody needs. And a lot of times, in a lot of cases, bitter people like that, they don't have the inclination to ask self-evaluating questions to be
Right.
like, what about me? Why am I talking about Ice Spice? What
That's
am I
deep.
doing? So
Yeah,
if you haven't asked that question and you're not even focused on looking in the mirror yet, then I'm probably not the person for you in the first place.
it's true.
And so I don't really have anything to say to them. They gotta get to that point, or they gotta find a coach. They gotta find a life coach, or somebody that can break, because that has nothing to do with music.
That's
That
true.
has nothing to do with music. That has everything to do with, like, got some um what do they call them? Some unhealthy beliefs.
Okay. You're right.
So
You're right.
yeah,
I mean, and that's something that, you have to, everybody has to get over. Like,
got to.
it's, there's situations where you look at it and you say, instead of saying, why not me?
Yeah.
Say, this is the work and the habits that I'm putting in and the growth that I'm doing and the offers that I'm making every day towards getting to where I'm trying to go.
It's crazy that you just said that. I just
Hmm.
started following this girl on YouTube, and
Okay.
she has a 30-day offer challenge. And
Okay.
she basically says, you're going to make an offer every single day. And I was like, yes, I am. Because I just finished putting together like my brand identity and everything. So when she said that, I was like, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because I have the
Nice.
list of people that I want to actually reach out to and make an offer. And I was like, yeah, why not make an offer every single day? But anyway,
Every day.
sorry, you said that, and I literally just watched her short in the car on the way home. So that
No,
was
you're
good to
right.
hear that you said that. That
Yes.
offer is
Yes.
important. It's important.
It's super important because the way you said yes to my offer is
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
way that 10 other people before you said no. 10,
Jeez.
20, 50, however much it went. But it's like, if we take it to being, one of the blessings to me to being a man
Hmm.
is, you may get a pat on the back, but you're not going to get a tissue. You're going to have to wipe your tears. So if you do have tears in the situation, somebody might pat you in the back and say, keep going. So
Yeah,
what that's gonna drive is your strength to say, okay, I have to figure this out. Like, if it's, if somebody's interested in a young lady and they're a young man, you're not gonna
hmm,
say, oh, get everything right, they're gonna follow you. No, like, no matter how polished you are, you may
yeah,
still have to make an approach, say, hey, good morning, how you doing? Even if you get walked past 100 times,
yeah,
you will be okay, because somebody will energy will recognize you, and you will reap what you sow. So
yeah.
those are one of the beauties in, hey, like, even if you only get a pat on the back, or even if you don't even get that, because sometimes you don't even get that,
Don't.
but take that as strength, internalize it, use that for fuel in the gym, and use that physical strength to fuel your mental strength, because the mind and the body are connected to the spirit, and that's how you elevate up. They're all connected.
Bro, you're talking, man. You're preaching right now, man.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things when we talk about the Bible being connected to the Spirit. That's one of the things that I pay attention to so much, is you reap what you sow. Because what I realize is, what you reap, what you sow, it might be years down the road and something positive happens because you sold something good years ago. You met somebody years ago. something happened years ago, maybe decades ago. Sometimes it's crazy like that.
Mm,
But because you did the right thing, because it was a habit, maybe the first 10 people didn't recognize it and call you back and anything happened. But a month later, you get a call or an email like, hey, I seen what you've done. I seen you on these podcasts. I seen you do these things. We'd like to invite you in. And it's just incredible like that. So I just shifted my whole thinking and said, well, since I am taking the stairs, I'm going to
yes.
make it worthwhile, and I'm going to do
Yeah.
it the right way, and I'm going to put work in. So when I do, 36 right now, but when I do turn 37, I'm not an elevator kind of experience of a person. So I'm
Yep.
not going to lean on those elevator experiences, but I'm going to say, I met these 100 people.
Yep.
I met Nathaniel, and this is what he does. So when it comes to the music industry, if somebody wants to talk to an expert there, I say, hey, talk to Nathaniel. He knows what he's doing. He knows
Hmm.
live shows. He knows this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Boom. There we go. I foster that connection.
Facts.
And what that does is it's just it elevates everything. So I just look at it like, okay, since I'm on the experience of being on the stairs, I need to make it worthwhile. I can't just be here and complain.
Yeah.
Like,
Drag yourself up the stairs. Like, nah,
right,
B.
right.
All right,
It's
you get.
you have to put the energy out there. If I say, hey, send me a custom offer, send me an offer, it's up to that person to say yes or no. But I feel good when I send that off and it gets delivered, because I feel like, you know what? How are you going to be blessed when you're not blessing someone? Where's your blessing going to come from? It has to come from good soil. You know,
I
like
do
if
know.
yes,
Because when you reached out and you were like, yeah, the invitation, literally in my head, I was just like, yes. I was like, yes. I was like, it's
right,
gonna be tight. I'm gonna be rushing and whatnot. But I was like, yeah,
right,
yes, because literally it lined up perfectly with what I'm doing. Like the call last night, the conversation I've been having, um, the videos I've been watching, the fact that I just started, like I not even started, just finished my brand identity. Like I've been working on that for a long time,
right,
hit and miss, didn't know how to do it, whatever, blah, 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 but something clicked and I was like, yo, this is what I stand for. This is my message. This is where I came from. This is my story. And I just wrote it out and it's done.
right,
And then boom, you hit
right.
me up
That's
and I was just like, yeah,
right. It's an interesting thing that I've heard. I don't. It might have been Myron Golden that said this. I don't know if you're familiar with Myron Golden, but
I know of him, but
okay. Something he says is there's people where you were and there's people where you're going. So don't get like, because there's people leaving your life and there's people coming in every day.
facts.
So if you want to be connected with where you were, stay more connected to the people where you were at, because they're still there. They're still there. There's still people at whatever clubs you used to go to.
Keep
I can
going.
guarantee they're still there. There's people that hey man, we ain't seen you here in a long time. There's people still, whatever you used to do, there's people that are doing those same things. And
Hmm.
it is so tough because they want you to go to every family function. They want you to do the every little thing that you used to do. Why don't you go to grandma's house anymore? Why aren't you doing this? And why didn't you? Because that's what they're used to.
Mm,
But if elevation means I might only get to see you this time, or hey, this is what I'm looking for when we interact.
mm,
That might feel like, oh, you're trying to, oh, you think you're better or this or that. No, it's just,
facts.
yeah, right. I'm going here, and this is what my life's calling is, and there's people there where I'm going, and I want you to go. But if you don't want to go, it's okay, because I know there's people there. So you're somebody that where I'm going, you're here now, and you're going to be where I'm going. And so
Yeah.
that's what I love about it, because it's kind of like it's okay. People get so used to, we have some tough sayings that people need to fix. It's like people say day ones, and it should be, day goal, like match that day with the goal, and who do you want to see there. But we get so, these sayings like day ones and the it's a small world, like that one really bothers me, because it's like
Yeah.
small world, it's a big world, it's a huge world. We haven't even seen 1% of it, most people.
None. We haven't even
Right.
been to the bottom of the ocean. We haven't dug
Yes.
lower than, I think it's like 400 meters. Like we don't know
Right.
nothing.
This is crazy. So I want to get to some very key things that I think people really don't know that I really feel
Mm,
like you know, are an expert at, and I want to kind of help people that just don't know what to do when they're at, you know, trying to get started in these areas. So there's
for
somebody
sure.
that does music,
Yeah.
and they've been doing it for, you know, however long they've been doing it, let's just say 5 years,
Hmm.
and they want to do a tour or live performance. So what are like how do they get that done? Like who should they reach out to? Is there any agencies? And also with saying that, what are some things they need to look out for so they don't sign the wrong document? So, you know, somebody is taking, you know, getting a 360 situation. Like
Yeah.
how are they making sure that they're not opening up for somebody, but that's turning into a situation where now they're owed, you know, whatever percentage of their earnings or live show earnings because they signed a document to open for somebody, and
Yeah.
now that, you know, caused a lot of pain for them. So I know that's a layered question, but you know, that's something that's very interesting to me.
Yeah. No, obviously amazing question. I'm gonna start with the tour because I know that that's like 90% of artists' dream is to go on tour. It's like that's the thing. And I worked when I was working with Queen, I was talking to one of her label execs and just picking his brain. And he told me the first thing that artists should be doing is winning their city 100%.
Okay.
Don't
Okay.
do anything else until you're able to get on the radio station in your local city. You shouldn't be talking about touring or doing anything or focus on anything. And that stuck with me because when I was younger, the radio was something very unattainable. Now, he did tell me that it cost a lot of money. He had a backpack, I believe he said 10K in his backpack, and he had to keep it on him because when he was going from radio station to radio station, he had to be able to drop racks so that his artists can go in and do what they're doing. So there is a dirty part to the game, 100%, but also that dirty part can be moved by popularity. So the number one goal, according to him, is win your city, get on the radio, be the thing in your city that people are talking about. Right.
Okay. Okay.
Once you do that, then you branch out to your neighboring cities. You can't go on tour until people know who you are. So be strategic about the cities that you're marketing your music to.
Okay.
Market your city, your music to the cities that you want to be in. If that
That's
means
true.
you have to get on a plane and fly to a city or drive to a neighboring city and do something at that city, then do it. You know what I mean? But be strategic. Don't just be you can do whatever you want. But if you are just at home sitting in your studio making music and you're sending it out and hoping that social media's algorithm picks you up, then chances are you're not going on tour.
Okay.
Um, but if you want to lay out a plan, then yes, go to these cities, create physical connections with people in the cities, reach out to the radio stations, so that you could do, even if it's a radio tour, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Start your tour there so that the radio is playing the music in the cities that you want to go and sell out. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
and this is all outside of like, the actual music creative aspect of it. Like make your music, do your thing. That's like the bare minimum to make a great song and like have songs coming out like on a consistent basis. That is the bare minimum. People should be putting out music like we post on social media.
Right.
Because the truth of the matter is, and I'm trying not to go too much on a tangent.
Right.
The question was kind of layered, but the truth of the matter is music is free, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you got to use it as publicity. You got to use it as an advertisement. So you should be posting or releasing music as much as you post. And this is just my opinion. This is not, um, you know, this is just my opinion.
Okay.
So you have music out there. So when you're posting about it, people already can listen to it. You go to the cities that you want to tour in, you do a couple pop-ups here, go to the radio station there, blah, 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 meet people, actually meet people, like go out and meet people in the cities. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm in town for blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, tell your friends, blah, 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 blah. I might come back. Oh, you might come back? Okay, let me know. Saying that to somebody in their face is different from saying, come out to my show on social media.
Right.
So right off the bat, you have connections. Hey, Now, when you go to these, or when you're ready to, sorry, let me say it like this. You're releasing music consistently.
Right.
One of your songs, hopefully, will do better than the rest.
Yes.
If that song does well in certain cities, go to those cities. And now when you go to those cities and say, hey, I'm coming to your city, you call the people that you make connections with. You say, I have a tour coming up. Those people, at the very least, you're going to get 20 to 30 people right there per person, right? Not per person, I'm sorry. Let's say you met a group of like 4 people, you might get like 30 people, 20, 30 people from that group because they're friends and friends or whatever. That's being very generous, very generous.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is, you're not going on tour unless people know who you are. People aren't going to know who you are unless you meet them. And then the music has to connect with them, plus the relationship for them to say, I'm going to go to your concert. That's the long and short of it. And that's
Okay.
not even really a plan. But that's like the bare minimum. Like, that's like, you should be doing that anyways and not
Okay.
thinking that you're going to do very well. Just be doing that on a regular basis. And there's people that are doing that are doing very well. And it's not easy. It's a lot of work, man.
That's true.
But you have to do it. You know what I
You're
mean?
right.
And
You're right.
either way, it's either going to be working hard doing that or you're going to be working hard at McDonald's. You're going to
That's
be
true.
working hard
You're right.
regardless.
You're right. You're absolutely right. If you want to be great, because the thing is, I mean, there's always abundance. Like people say, don't be. There's enough. There's always enough. Yes,
Yeah.
but the thing is, you have to go negotiate that. And the thing is, if you want what everybody else wants, it's not going to be any easier.
No,
So you have to have that mindset of, okay, how do I get through the nose? How do I get through the nose? And that's
those
something else I
no's.
want. Right. That's something I want to hit on with you, because music, it's very creative. They say it's like your baby, right? When you make a song, something you care about. But when you're in your city and you're trying to make it happen, a lot of people want to hear music, with people they're familiar with already, to kind of stamp it, right? And I think that will help if you need to pay for a feature. And what's cool nowadays, today, is there's a lot of kind of successful artists that aren't mainstream,
Yeah.
that the feature price isn't gonna kill you, and
Hmm.
now you can kind of, okay, I can use this feature from an artist you're already familiar with to kind of get to where I need to go.
I put
So
together a chart
okay.
because I think I know where this question is going.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a chart that
Okay.
I use as a template for artists to, if they don't know what to do, if they're completely lost and they're just like,
Right.
I just make music. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit of a roadmap to help you navigate the music industry. And once again,
Okay.
this is just my um the way that I view the music industry according to what I've seen.
Cool.
I don't know if it helps to share the screen or maybe I just
Go,
say it. I'll just
go ahead, share it. I want to get a visual. Visuals
share the
are,
screen.
yeah, even if it's a quick visual, because the thing about a visual, what I've learned about visuals are, we're more of a visual society. And
Mhm.
audio and visual, I think, is pretty much equal, but we're so visual, like we want to
Super
see
visual.
it, right? And
Yeah.
so it's just where we're at. I like the keyboard. I'm kind of keying in on that in the background. It's pretty dope.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You're in the studio right now, so
That's dope. That's dope.
share the
What
sound.
kind of keyboard is that?
There's a Core Chronos.
Okay, top
Yeah.
flight.
I hope if I share this, it doesn't affect the sound. If it does, then
Yeah.
I'll just cancel it. And
Okay,
all right, you can still hear me,
I can.
and you can see the screen right here.
Hmm.
Okay, perfect. Um, so can you still see me, or is it just the
Sure.
screen
Yeah, I can
now?
see you. I can see you.
You
Go
can
ahead.
still see me. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. So what I have here is kind of like a three-pronged situation here. So we have niche, being signed, and being unique.
Okay.
And I got this from a formula that was basically like you could have two of three, but you can't have all three.
All right.
And so this is my entry to having all three. Like this is my take on it, but this is like the goal right here. Musical autonomy, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you have artists, for example, that will be very niche and they'll be signed. But unfortunately, once you become signed and you're very niche, chances are you're not going to be able to be whoever you want to be. You lose all your unique control when you get signed. The label's going to say what you have to do.
Okay, I get
If
it.
you're
Yeah.
unique in your niche, then you're not going to get signed because you're not going to be marketable.
Okay.
And if you're signed and you're unique, then you're probably not going to be able to fit into a niche group of people. You're probably going to be marketed as like this, like avant-garde, like, you know, huge thing that you have to like as is, right?
All right.
And so the thing is, if you accept that for a time, then you can eventually have all three. So my thing is, I tell artists, first
Okay.
thing is to become niche, find your
Got you.
audience, right?
You
And
know
that's
who's
what I was
the
saying about, yeah, go ahead.
you know who's a perfect example for this to me personally when I think about it
Um,
was Nipsey
what's his
Hussle.
name?
Because
Nipsey.
if you think about it, this is exactly what he did.
This is
Niche,
exactly what
right?
he did.
Street, right? Build it that way. Entrepreneurship, unique to what he was doing, you know, shaped his own brand, but actually build a brand inside of that brand with the marathon clothing and, you
Yep.
know, proud to pay. And so once he got signed, he
Yep.
still kept all creative control because he kept those two long enough, and then he moved over into that one and capitalized on all the benefits. So he's someone that really capitalized on that whole kind of, you know,
This
blueprint
formula,
you laid out. Yeah, the formula. It's really
1000%.
right. And even though, you know, tragedy happened, but if we take that out of it, on how he built what he was doing
Yeah.
perfectly that way, so he still had control over what he was doing. So you're
Yep.
right. I think when you talk about you can go back to the
I mean, you pretty much got the idea.
right.
You like Nipsey did. He was able to reap the benefits of all facets, all three. And once you do that, then you become, you know, your own being. You could be unique. You still have the benefit of being signed. And in most cases, I would say to sign yourself at that point. You know, get out of your label and sign yourself. Create your own label,
Yeah.
and you still can niche down if you want. You don't have to appeal to everybody because
Yes.
now your prices have gone up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Your value has gone up. You have complete musical autonomy. You're in a place where a lot of artists will never get, and which is the ultimate goal. That is the ultimate goal to have musical autonomy. And it's because, and I said that because it's not necessarily about money. You know, a lot of people would be
Yeah.
like, oh, the success is, you know, you're rich and whatever. No, most artists don't really care about that. You
Right.
know what I mean? They
Right.
really are not trying to I'm trying to unshare this. I'm struggling. I'm
Unshare.
not I'm not
Okay,
big
let me
on.
see. Hold on, let me see.
Oh, here we go. Stop sharing.
Got you. Okay. So
Yeah, a
here's
lot of artists are not big on the money. They want that musical autonomy where they can go out into the woods and do what Kanye did, do what Andre 3000 did, Rick Rubin. Like these guys are just out there, man.
yeah,
Anyways,
I
go ahead.
said, you know, in 2 interviews ago, the last one that's up, but I have another one that I did that should be up either today or tomorrow, depending on how things go with me
Yeah,
being able to put it up. But here's the thing. This is what I said. I said, I believe this is what money is. Money is your ability to be an expert.
I did see this.
Right. Oh, you seen that?
I
Raise your
saw it.
level,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Raise your level of expertise. And the higher level of experts you get to, you'll be able to negotiate and do bigger things. Because if you think about it, right? So let's just, and this is what I mean by that.
Go ahead.
So Jay-Z is an expert in business world, right? So let's just take everything away from him. He doesn't own anything anymore. To this day, he's on the streets. So since he's an expert,
Yeah,
he can make 100 phone calls to 100 companies, and probably 80% of those companies at a minimum are going to call him, and he's going to get the deal he likes because he's an expert. So
yeah,
what did we do? We took everything away from him.
yeah.
But because he's an expert and we all know he's an expert, we can't remove what he's done,
It's
right?
true. It's very
Right?
true.
So
Yeah,
the expertise of it, what he's an expert at, that's where the money is. So that's why if a college wanted Jay-Z to come speak, you
yeah,
know, for a day, right? They want to put it all together. Let's say it was like, Harvard, something like that, right? Wanting them to come speak to, the business part of what they do.
yeah,
They already kind of know, okay, we have to come with a nice package because he's an expert.
Yeah.
Right. So if you position yourself that way, if I position myself as I'm gonna be the best branding podcast in the world, talking about it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you're doing, brand yourself. And if
Yeah.
I say every time you go 100 guests in, gauge where you're at.
Hmm.
What you're doing, you have leverage from the perspective of you're an expert and this is why.
Yeah.
You're an expert and this is why. So that's what I believe when we think about money. Like you were saying, a lot of people don't care about it. They're not going to care about it because they can go do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But since they're an expert,
Their
it's all
value is through the roof.
exactly. That's why Kanye doesn't really even have to make music anymore. But when he pops out with an album, people are going to
He
buy it.
himself said, and he was referenced in the Bible, that he wants to be able to go to a city and just be completely broke and ask somebody door to door, be like, hey man, can I have something to eat? And that's biblical. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's like that is the day that you can do that. You've ascended. Like
Yes.
you've gotten past. I don't even want to say the matrix because that's like
No.
it gets too taboo. But you've gotten past the reality of life that we've been taught our entire life,
Right.
which is that money is the thing that you need to survive. When in actuality, value is
Is
the thing.
yeah. It's
So
exactly if your value is you being an expert at something and you have the relationships,
yeah,
the
man,
skills, all this stuff to prove it. Because if you think about it, take all the money away right now.
take it
All
away.
the money is gone. It's all
Done.
gone, right? So what would happen immediately is the experts would continue to shine because if you think about it, okay, all the money is gone. So you're gonna need food and security. Those are your two
Yeah.
things you're gonna need.
Hmm.
So whoever knows how to
Shelter.
do that,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna
Hmm.
need shelter, security, and food.
Yeah.
So the people that know how to do that, they're gonna instantly shine because okay, now I can go settle scores I need to settle. People can go. But if you have the protection you need, okay, that's not going to be done.
Yeah.
Okay, people that can go gather food. Hey, we have a team of people that go get vegetables every day. So it immediately goes back to the skills.
Yeah.
Okay, these people have the skills. Well, this person knows how to use a tractor. This person now, he's not just going to go get food. He's going to go get food for the whole city. Well,
Yeah.
it's all going to go back to the skills. And then once you get to the skills, now it's the expert level skills that's all going to shine. So
Yep.
my whole belief is centered on okay, if you can become an expert, doesn't matter where you start, just start and tell yourself, I'm going to do 5 a week. Sounds
Yeah.
like a lot, but now you just do 5 times 25, and that's how much you've done a year. Some weeks you do more, some weeks you do less. You just
Yeah.
dedicate yourself for a year.
Yeah.
You're now the expert in that field because if what's kind of interesting to me when I look at the whole podcast and video space and all this other stuff, and I say, wow, I mean, people are leaving the door open for people to come in. EYL, incredible podcast, incredible. When I say incredible, I could say that 1,000 times and it wouldn't be cutting it short. They're
Mm.
at, I think, episode 272 or something like that. So if somebody says they wants to do 5 episodes a week, they're going to be well past that. So with me saying that, what I'm trying to say is you don't have any control over certain things. But what do you have control over? How many offers you make, who you
Mm.
speak to, what you can do, how you can get better. And so if you just focus on those things
Yeah.
and put it out there and say, I'm going to connect this with 5 people that I know. I'm going to tell them to send this to 10 people they know. I'm going to post it. I'm going to get better. I'm going to be an expert at what I do. What will happen is you're going to get better naturally because you put the energy into it. You actually got better at communicating and you translated that into you all poured that into what kind of expert you are,
Yeah.
right? Because I know you heard that saying. What is it? Hold on. Best investment you can make is in yourself.
Of course.
Why I love that is you did an interview in 2000. I'm not an interview. Excuse me. You did a tour in 2012, and you talked
Yeah.
about it like you did it yesterday.
Of course. Yeah.
So the fact that you talk about it like you did yesterday. Here's the thing.
It's
That
gonna be
was an
interesting.
right. That's an
Go ahead.
investment you made in yourself. So you own it forever. As long as you live, you own that, and even beyond that. legacy, that's forever. You can go speak about that since you did that, right? So if the best investment you can make in yourself, wait, so you're telling me that if I do 1,000 interviews, I'll own them forever? Yes. Well, sign me up for that, because forever is forever. We can come back and look at this in 2025, 2027, 2028, 2030. I can say all my music experts, we're meeting online, and then we're having an in-person at this location. If you were on during these years, the earlier you were on, we're covering tickets. We're doing this. We're doing that. We want these people to be keynote speakers. That's why it's the best investment you can make. So I understand that, because it never goes away.
Never goes away.
Right. So if you think about things that never go away, okay, when you were in first grade, you learned things that you use every day, right? That have made you money, opened up opportunities. You learn how to do different things early in school, early at home. You learn how to walk. You don't even probably remember when you even learned how to do that, and you still use it every day of your life.
Yep.
So that's why it's the best investment you can make. And where did I hear it? I heard somebody say it. Oh, it was Damon John that said it in the video I seen today. He said, the no's make you stronger. The losses make you stronger. And if you think about it, all those no's and different people saying interesting things, when I'm reaching out to them, it's interesting, because if I didn't have the strength, then maybe the yes doesn't happen. So it's kind of like, and you have proof, because every interview you did, if you keep the ones you keep up, or however that goes, one I did with EY was like 7 months ago, still up like I did it yesterday. And it can be, if somebody would have told me that that was going to happen, I would have probably just been lost. Like, how, and what are you talking about? But that's why it happens, because if you believe it's going to happen, then you're sparking the energy for it to happen before it happens.
Yeah.
All right.
You're living as if it already has. I think one of the most interesting tricks that I learned was the practice of saying something that you're anxious about, saying, man, it was so crazy when this happened. Like, live it out in your mind, so that when it happens, it's already happened. It's happening because it already happened. You prepared your mind, and because you're not anxious about it, you don't ruin the moment. And that has been one of the most powerful kind of finesses. I met Justin Bieber on that mentality, because we were playing for, and this is just a random, we were playing for him at a wedding, celebrity wedding, and I did the exercise. I was working with my life coach, and she was like, she taught me that exercise. So I was like, let me use it for this thing real quick. So I was a little anxious. I was like, oh man, it's Justin Bieber, man. We're both Canadian. And I just ran into my head. And when we got to sound check, after we finished sound check, I ended up walking outside, and he was outside. He was bunning it down. And I just walked up to him and started talking to him like it was nothing. And it was just like stuff like that. Like, if you run it in your mind, it takes away all the anxiety. And so you pretty much get yourself out of the way. And just want to put that out there on top of your point. Like, live it out. Like, put the energy as if it's already happened. Because technically, if you don't believe it's going to happen, then technically it can't happen.
It's true.
It's impossible.
Right. You're not believing it. You're not giving yourself the opportunity for something to happen, because you don't believe. You're not putting the right ingredients into it to actually be prepared, because it's incredible. But I believe things happen before they happen, because you put in the work already before it happened. So once it did happen, you were already expected it. So you already did so many different things. And so it was like, right, once you got there, you were already prepared for it. So it's like, it happened already. Believe it. Like, you're studying these people that are great. You're great. Believe you're great. Say you're great. Do things that great people do. Prepare yourself. Move in the right way. Like, do it before it happens. Don't, cry that it didn't happen. Prepare to make it happen. So when it happens, you can say, well, hey, like, before we got in this interview, I already knew what I wanted my background to be. I already knew, things like that. And so, since I do got the background and we're on the back half of this, and you got things you got to do, right? Busy expert like yourself. With all of these albums, I want to know which one connected with you the most as far as listening to different tracks from it, and why is that?
Travis Scott,
Okay. Astro World, right?
Astroworld.
Okay.
For whatever reason,
Okay.
man, he when that album dropped, I was at like a low point in my life,
Okay.
like pretty low. And I remember I was in Toronto and it was just a rough time. I don't know, man. I was going back home, like I'm from
Okay.
Toronto. So it
Okay.
was a rough time. And
Okay.
put on that album, I went for a walk because I walk a lot when I'm like my mind is running. I put on the album and I went for a walk, and it just like it put this like fire, like just the energy. You already know his energy, man. It's like,
Right.
and now it's starting to get weird. I'm not sure what's going on, but that album's energy, I was just like, yeah, man. And that's how music is for me. It's not necessarily like I'm sitting here and I'm critiquing it and saying like this is a great album because this artist was on it and listen to the bars and the bars were this proper cadence. And I know that people will like break down Kendrick like that, but like
Right.
to me, it's like certain albums affect people differently at different
Okay.
times. And the only time that it can operate like that is if the artist makes the album out of that same genuine emotion.
Right.
And so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong.
Hmm.
But that album was made from something
Yes.
that was going on in his life.
I love
And
the album.
I felt it. I felt it, man. So like, yeah, man, that track that he did with Drake,
Hmm.
like for whatever reason, man, I love it. And I think it's more so just because like the time that I was at in my life and then listening to it and it just hit me. So yes, out of
Okay.
all of them, it's gonna be Astro World, man.
I would say it's that one too for me.
Yeah,
Because of that song Yosemite. And when he has a line in that song, when or I think it's a part of the hook that says, "I feel like I'm chosen. My heart's full of gold." I think he says something along those lines, but I know he says, "I feel like I'm chosen."
yeah.
When
Actually, I want
you
more of that.
know that feeling of feeling like you're chosen, I love it because to what that means to me is like when you're here, you you're starting to remove all those thoughts of okay, like whatever those thoughts are. Like you think about it, I don't know what your biggest crowd was on these different tours, but it had to get some of them get to a point where you're like, is this real? And you're kind of having to lock composure back in. But when you feel like you were chosen for this moment, because when you're on this, like what was your biggest crowd that you can remember? The number where you can just when you were looking at it, you were like, is this real? Like you've
Yeah, I
seen
think
so many people that it just didn't feel like it was reality.
yeah, that was Oshiega when we did
Okay.
Oshiega.
Okay.
It was just like a sea of people, and I remember just looking up and like the hill goes up and it's like, it's all the way out there, and it was just like it was just people, man. It was just a sea of people.
Right. And
And go
and
ahead.
so and so when you're up there and you're on the keyboard
Yeah,
and you see people like that, you have to feel like you're chosen because you can't mess up. You can't that's not
bro.
the time to, you know what I mean, to okay, like not it's time to be on point. Right here, it's like, okay, here we go. We're
Yeah.
on and it's not time to mess up. It's time to get going and be your best. And so that's why I love that statement of I feel like I'm chosen because it's like everybody's not going to get the opportunity to see that. Like, I don't know. Well, no, I'm not
And
going to say I don't
especially
know, but
him, and especially
yeah,
him. Like we all seen that video where he does the, before and after and where he started and where he's at. You know what I mean? And that was like 4 years ago, whatever.
right.
But like he put in work, man. He put in work
Yes,
and did not stop against all odds. So it's like when I see him up there with Kanye going crazy and people are like making fun of him because he's like going crazy. Like, no, you don't understand what is going on in the minds and the hearts of artists that are on those stages.
right,
Like you don't understand the moments when they connect the like all of their emotions, like their anxieties, their excitements, and they allow them all to be unjudged so that you can have an amazing show. You know what I mean?
right,
It's like not every artist is able to do that. The best artists in the world are able to tap into that and like get out of their own way and like tap into the source. And a lot of artists just shake their butts,
Right.
and have
You should.
a good couple years, and then they're off. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. I wanted to. Very interesting question I have for you since you're from Toronto, right? You grew up there?
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting question I have for you. And that is, and this is just my opinion, right? And it might be different from you since you're there, but I
Right.
believe that for the, for the urban music scene, right? For rap and hip hop, I believe that John B had the torch, right? For a long, because you gotta look at it, collaboration with Tupac, the on what album was that? That was on his album. That was on John B's album. And
Mm.
then just from when he came, he had the torch, right? So when did he pass that to Drake? Like at what moment was it like, okay, Drake has the city and he's just at what point did you kind of did that happen?
Let me answer this like this.
Okay.
Like when it comes to artists in Canada, in
Hmm.
Toronto, there is no you're running the city. And
Okay.
I say that because people in Toronto are looking at America.
Okay.
And so America runs the world in terms of entertainment. So even the artists in Toronto, they're not trying to run Toronto. They need to come to America to get validation. And then they go back to Toronto and then run Toronto. But the truth of the matter is, and I don't know, maybe I'll get blackballed, maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but there is no Toronto to run in terms of the industry.
Right.
So running Toronto is equivalent of like a kid, a high school student going back to his grade school and saying that I'm running the school. Like, bro, these are children. What are you
Right.
running?
Right.
Go, let me see if you could run your local college and see if you get like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I, I mean the attention, yeah,
Right.
if you're asking me like when the attention shifted,
Yes. Yes.
um, man, I have to get the exact year, but like
Okay. For
when
me,
he
mhm,
when he started doing the like really diving into the dance hall
okay.
um aspect of his career, that's when I think that it was like he's completely taken over
Okay.
because that's when I remember he was pretty much taking sound bites from like basement parties and putting them in his song, like you know what I mean, which is huge. Like I don't know if people, I'm sure people picked up on it, of course, but like once he started doing like jumping into the dance hall aspect, like that's when I think that he took over and he was just like not another artist, not another R&B artist or another rapper or whatever. Like he was like okay with taking Toronto sound and meshing it with mainstream R&B, and then pretty much like all of his collabs started coming and it was just like he just took off and he never really doubted himself ever, like ever. You know what I mean? Like John
Yeah.
B, I did a recording with him when I was
Oh,
in
okay.
LA,
Okay.
and the energy's different. It's just different. Like talking to him, and if I was to talk to Drake right now, the reason why Drake is because of that energy, the
Okay.
confidence, the I know who I am. John B is very down to earth, very like, hey man, yeah, okay, yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Which is obviously great for people like us to be able to talk to him and everything's cool and everything. But like, if you want that prestige, if you want to take over the world, you got to have a little bit of edge. And so I think that Drake got that edge when I think that there was no turning back when he collabed with Lil Wayne, and they did the that that tour when they were shoot, what was it? When they were, it was like the Street Fighter theme, and it
Okay.
was him and Lil Wayne, and you know everybody knows Lil Wayne put him on, and that ever since that he was like larger than life. But I think that was like the nail in the coffin. Like he's not coming back. Like he's he's done. Like he's the top artist, or he will be the top artist in the world.
So
Um,
so when he does a show out there, how big is it? Like, is it
oh yeah,
huge?
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
He has his own like OVO Fest. Like
Oh, wow.
it's sold out every year. Like you know what I mean.
Okay.
Like he like don't get it twisted. Like he really does run Toronto. Like
No,
he appointed himself the ambassador of our basketball team, bro.
wow,
Like
that's dope.
he does run Toronto in terms of entertainment.
All
But
right,
yeah,
and
what were we gonna say?
I just like how he, opened the door for others like Party Next Door for 40
Yeah,
for
yeah,
shout them out songs. He did what was that on his first album? On his first album, he had a song to his mom. Like a lot of people don't do stuff like that. So I just
yeah,
think a lot of people aren't even really paying attention to the small things like that. Um,
yeah, because he is very mainstream, so it's very difficult for people to see the behind the
right.
scenes stuff. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. I mean, there's so much that we didn't get into in this one, your music production and this and that, and what your genres are for that. If you can just get into that just a little bit when it comes to your
Mm.
music production, what genres do you like to work with the most? And what was your favorite music production project?
R&B is
Yeah.
my thing, 100%. My favorite project would be her name is Sylvia. She's very small artist and like in comparison to like some of the bigger artists. Like she's
Okay.
very underground. But my favorite project was working with her. We
What's
she's
what's her name again?
very Sylvia.
Sylvia. Okay.
Yeah. She's just very organic, very real, very tangible, very textured. And when I was in LA, we did a project. Like it was very impromptu. She was just like, I had these ideas, and she sent me voice notes, and I
Okay.
produced around the voice notes. And then we went back and recorded them in her closet. And then I mixed and mastered everything, and she put it up on SoundCloud, and it did amazing on SoundCloud. But like we didn't fully release it, and you know what I mean. She didn't really release anything else after that. But if I'm gonna be honest, that was probably my favorite album. Like I want to go back and re-release that project. But it was
Okay.
very like artsy and whatnot. But aside from that, the work that I did with Kalala was really dope. I did a remix for her song Waiting.
Okay.
So that was really dope. And that's like very like textured, a lot of pads, and it's like, a lot of like panning vocals here and there. And like that was that was good. That was a lot of fun, man. She's a dope artist. So it's like that
That's
was another one that I enjoyed working on too.
That's good. We got to get another one just because I didn't even get so much into your music production because, we
Yeah,
start connecting on so much different things. But I think that is important because I think what a lot of people need to understand when you're doing podcast, you're connecting with not just an expert, we're connecting with a human too. And
there
so,
is.
right, I think people kind of try to separate that element. But I think that's the special thing when you're talking about something because it kind of shows that there's different pieces to people, and I think all those pieces are amazing. And when you can understand those other pieces, it kind of really ties everything together. To me, it makes it more interesting because it makes it more authentic. Like, okay, this is something real. So it's interesting because it's like, we know Kobe passed, we know Nipsey passed, and
Yeah,
the interviews that they've done about basketball and music, they're really powerful. But when they
yeah,
get to the point to where they're having, the sound bites about life and about how they started and about family and about just how they connected on different things. I think those things are very important,
yeah,
things that they believe in that are important. So I just think it's important to understand what someone's good at, but also understand that they're a human too, and to tap into that side as well.
yeah. I agree, man. And I appreciate it, man, because the way that the conversation went, it went left field like it was supposed to, very
Exactly.
naturally.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
appreciate it.
That's why it goes long, but it goes effective. And so that's what people have to understand. That's what I notice about music artists is they're very in touch with who they are, and that's what allows them to be so creative because they're true to themselves. So now they can really create. So it's like you're just,
Absolutely.
very comfortable, and not just, it makes the interview comfortable, makes the
Mm,
vibe comfortable, and like I
that's
say, you
good.
got the money tree in the background.
Yes, sir.
Just the natural elements to kind of really tie everything in and make it solid. So
That's good, man.
right, Nathaniel, like I say, thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for coming on. And you got to let everybody know where to find you at. That's, an important
Yeah,
part. And not just where to find you, but what can you help them with? Like when they get there, what
yeah,
should they do and how can you help them?
yeah, man. So once again, just Google Nathaniel W. James. Everything will pop up. Specifically, Nate, the producer, on Instagram. When you do find me, if you do find me, if you're an artist, especially an emerging artist, I like to consider myself somewhat of an artist concierge. There's a lot of things, a lot of different aspects about music that are daunting, and depending on where your pain points are, I like to ask probing questions just to find out who you are, what you want to be. And but my specialty is live show, production, and artist development. So just hatching out like what you want people to see when you grab that mic and you get on stage, putting your best foot forward and having the best representation of your music that you poured all your soul into. I just want the stage to look 10 times better than that. And so that's what you'll be finding when you get me, when you find me. That's what I specialize in. That's what I want to do for everybody. And that's it,
Awesome.
really.
Awesome. You know, it's going to be dope when you have that conference one day where you can tie all this in and you have the, you know,
Man.
the only conference for live performances and people,
Oh man.
you know, actually go there to actually see how to do them, how to get better with them, what performances they, you know, want to see in the live entertainment you have there. Like, because nowadays conferences and events are where the world is going. But,
Yeah.
you know, people to get in and be that staple, that industry leader for that space is really important. So, you know, do it. Don't not do it. Do it. And even if it starts small, even if it starts free, even if you have to invest your own into it,
Hmm.
do it, build it, and create the content around it. And that's all it takes is you believing in it, having the skill
Yeah.
set that you have, the expertise, and just building from there.
There it is, man.
There it is. So, like I say, Nathaniel James, search Nathaniel W. James, right? Search that,
Yes.
and
Yep.
you know you're gonna be pleasantly surprised with what you find and receive, and nothing but blessings on the other end. So I'd like to just thank
Appreciate
you
it,
for coming
man.
on.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, nothing but blessings for you. And like I said, we're gonna continue to do these, continue to connect, and continue to build incredible
Yeah,
things.
man. All
All
right.
right,
Well, hit me up for the next one, man. I'm more than willing to jump back on for
I
sure.
got you. Thank you. Have a
All
blessed
right.
one.
You too.
All right.